All right, guys, here with Cam for the third time in 4 years to do a championship interview, talk about his thoughts as we kind of get ready to head into the final week of the season, where the inaugurals will be playing for their third title in 4 years. Pretty impressive, but I feel like we said that last year, but 3 out of 4. Is this something that you kind of expected or anticipated? I mean, everybody hopes that this is what happens, right? But talk to me about that. And you know, we thought you were going to tank last year, then you didn't, and here you are again. Is it worth it? All that stuff. So just talk me through like a very overarching picture of how you picture this season going and where you're at now.
Yeah, I mean, weeks 1 through 14, pretty much in your control as to how your team does. Weeks 15 through 17, I mean, it's just a total toss up, and my team's peaking for sure
Right.
at the right time. I think it's been since like week 10 or 11. I mean, my team's just been above median every week. Um, Really, I think the Pandas and I were really hot coming into the playoffs, and we're just two teams you wouldn't want to face off against just given their recent form. So I was pretty thankful, honestly, to be matched up against K Migs. I texted Chase and I was like, "Damn, I kind of thought you would take him," and that would have been a real bummer to be up against Unicorn last round. But
Yeah.
feel good with the team's outlook right now.
Yeah. You said it, I think, in the league chat, and then just to give right now, it really is a matter of when do you get hot. I mean, obviously, if you can get a bye, that's the most important thing, just because the playoffs are so random that that kind of secures you a top 4 spot. But when you get hot, you get hot. I mean, you can ask Code and I. We're in a league together. Both of us are bye teams, and we both lost in the first round we played because things weren't looking hot. Versus you, you went through 2 teams that have some good pedigree in terms of why they were in the playoffs and how they got here, and here you are again in the finals. So, um, was this expected for you? Like, did you kind of once you clinched your 4 seed, did you kind of? I mean, you never think it's a free ride, right? But did you feel really confident kind of coming into these games?
Um, More confident than previous playoffs, if I kind of remember the matchups correctly. Now, I by no means did I think K Migs was going to struggle to put up just triple digits.
Yeah.
Um, but I felt a lot more confident against him than in previous years. But I think his team has kind of injuries and then situations. He's got, like I think a couple Jets players, and it's like, all right, well, if the Jets have a bad game, which is highly likely, just reduces the number of variables you need to go your way. And for me, I'm super concentrated on the Jags and the Cards. Brissett and McBride have been solid, but I mean, the Jags, like if you've got Jags players right now and you're in the playoffs, you're probably doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Pretty concentrated to Lawrence and ETN, but BTJ, because I'm not a BTJ guy, but I love me some Jags.
Well, when you think about the Jaguars coming in, you made that trade for Trevor Lawrence very, very, very early in the season, and I remember thinking back then, as somebody who's not really much of a Trevor Lawrence guy, that not that I didn't agree with what was going on, but I was thinking to myself, is this really the right move, or it feels like a lateral move that you're paying too much. But here you are now, where Trevor Lawrence is going nuts in the playoffs, 54.3 in Week 15 against the Jets, but then 37.6 against Denver, which is crazy. Again, that trade was Trey Benson and 2 seconds to Morgan for Trevor Lawrence. Was there anything else involved in that? I think that was just it, right?
I think that was it. And then I used a roster move to restructure Lawrence. Unless Morgan gave him that contract, I'm not too sure. But I'm definitely a Trevor Lawrence believer. Um, didn't think his ceiling was as high as it's been for these playoff games. But I mean, I believe in the guy, and Cohen is the coach I wanted the Cowboys to go after all offseason. And of course, he got hired by the Jags before we even fired McCarthy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we know how that one ends.
Yeah, typical head coaching cycle where you're just hoping and praying for your guy.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is. So, how do you value Trevor Lawrence from here on out? I mean, you've got to figure out what you're doing next year. We can actually put that up on the website a little bit here, I think, if I can do this correctly. When you look at what your roster situation is, you've got Trevor Lawrence still in a couple years deal, but you're also in the point that you need to kind of figure out what's going on with this number next year. You've got so much dead cap, which we can see on the spreadsheet. I think maybe if I can make it work, maybe not. Um, but you've got so much dead cap, $544, pretty much 500 even with the rollovers and stuff here. But you still got Trevor Lawrence for a couple more years left with that restructured deal. Have you started thinking about what the future is for him? Do you think you're just going to kind of ride this into oblivion, or is that not even on the horizon yet with just what you've got on your plate in front of you?
I mean, here's the thing with my dead cap situation. I got a lot of guys expiring, and for example, Gibbs is going to be a holdout. Well, super valuable running back. I'm going to sign and trade him. Someone's going to offer me something for him, and I'm willing to sell way below market price. Factoring into that price, if I tell the chat that I'm offloading Gibbs to some contender for the 208, well, just to play defense, another contender should be all right. I gotta beat that offer, otherwise
I got
they're getting highway robbery.
Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, it's going to drive the price up to be somewhat fair. But I'm pretty confident that there's a number of guys I can do that with, whether it's a sign and trade to get some value, or if it's just to offload cap. And I mean, I can cover some of the cap costs next year as well. I just got to get down to the $0 mark, or let me rephrase. I got to get up to the $0 mark.
Yeah.
But then there's other guys like McBride, I think he's on like $50 next year. I mean, you're telling me someone with playoff aspirations doesn't want that production. Embargo all you want, but Chase, Gibbs, McBride, the like, they're going somewhere for something.
Yeah.
We'll see who's too stubborn, but they'll be missing out.
Yeah, embargo works really well until it doesn't, right? I mean, there was the embargo on the implications a couple years back, and then I think I did 4 trades at once, and all of a sudden was fine. So it's just a matter of knowing people's value and just forcing it to happen and being almost annoying. And then I can't remember specifically when it goes into effect, but like you've got to be under the cap at a certain point. I think it's like till March 1st is like the first check-in. And so there's a very long period of time that you have to figure these things out. I want to ask a question, and I know you're either going to completely. I know what the answer is to this question because you're either going to lie or tell the truth. Is there any piece of you that's looked at this and is saying, "I think I know a way out of this," or are you really tanking? That smile is telling potentially.
No, I'm for sure tanking. This is truly the last dance. There's probably some ways I can gain some flexibility, but the whole point of me kind of doing this really concentrated effort to put all my dead cap into the next 1 to 2 years, I'm really trying to like bookend those tanking years, shorten it as much as possible, and I guess 2026 going to be in the trenches, 2027 productive, but still not going to be one of the good ones, and then 2028 hopefully just kind of
start to
back to normal, doing whatever I can.
So and this is a tricky question because I want to compare it kind of to the implications who did that terrible thing a few years ago. Do you feel like you need to win it all with how much you've mortgaged the next years? Do you feel like you need to win it all, or if you come in second place, I mean, of course you want to win, right? But like, let's fast forward 4 months from now, not a week from now. But if you come in second place, are you still happy with that, or do you feel like because you've mortgaged so much that a win is absolutely necessary?
I think it's been a resounding success based on the strategy I took coming into this year, like getting into the semifinals and at least having the opportunity to play for some degree of money. Like you're guaranteed, top 4 finish. You're at least playing for your money back in the 3rd place game. Like that's the bare minimum. And then being in the finals, like I consider it a success. And at this point, just a coin flip. Is it going to be like the ultimate success? But absolutely zero regrets about squeezing one more year out of this core, because I think it's been objectively correct. Like this core had what it takes to return to the finals once more. The Lawrence, well, I guess this is Lawrence's first year on my team, but Gibbs, Chase, Jefferson, McBride, I mean, that is, the spine of my team basically. And those 4 guys hasn't gone the way I planned with Jefferson, but those 4 guys have just been staples in the playoffs here.
Yeah. And then not only that, you have the depth, right? So Devontae Adams being banged up isn't petrifying like it is for other teams at this point in the year, and all that. And you kind of got an easier path there, one that you projected with Brown out, and then your first game against Allen. So I know it's unfortunate both your teams didn't make it to the semis, but I'm sure you're very happy to.
What a tale that would have been.
With the fifth place game there. So when you look to this match against Unicorn, it is a rematch of the first year where you guys both played. It is, again, two teams from the Division of Death going head to head. A lot of love and hate and respect from the two of you. And I mean, even in the Guillotine League, you being the two of you being two of the last three teams. I mean, Unicorn is great, and both of you are very good at fantasy football, and that's why you're both here again. But talk to me about how you feel like this matchup is going to go, and points of pain for you on his team, and points of pain for you on your team, and not necessarily a prediction, but just how you think the matchup's going to kind of go this week, and just your thoughts on his team in general.
And that just reminded me, some totally coincidental, but I thought it was pretty cool that we were the final three in Guillotine. Obviously, I was eliminated this last week, but we were also the last three draft spots in that league, which, again, probably no correlation there, but something interesting. I think it's pretty cool also that, this is truly the last dance for the inaugurals, and no better way to close it than with a rematch of the first year, which I'm not sure if people remember, but that championship was called short because of the Damar Hamlin injury. And it did look like my team may have even, run up the score on Unicorn a bit, but it was a game heading into that night. I had the Burrow Boyd stack, and they hit a touchdown in the first quarter, and then the Damar Hamlin stuff happens. And I think Unicorn may have had Higgins, but I was up by 20 or something at that point. So we really get like a true finals rematch there. And I'm excited for it. And frankly, the injury news, I've got Adams injured, but, got some depth. The injury news Unicorn was hit with yesterday, like that kind of sucks. So not going to let it get into the heads of the guys in the locker room, but they know there's some beneficial circumstances here. And I hope they take advantage of it.
A couple hitting out of nowhere. I remember it was Kittle, DK obviously suspended, and then
that
Kamara
one could hurt me because now
again.
DK won't be in his lineup. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be interesting. I forgot about the. I remember that was that week, but I think we just ended up saying. I think we just called it, didn't we? Just say like, and I think Unicorn was very gracious about it too, from what I remember. Like, I think he even kind of said, I don't think I can overcome a 20-point deficit with Higgins when you have Burrow or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alan and I are in another league where a guy was not as gracious as Unicorn about it. And they kind of just like, all right, whatever, man, if you're going to be like that, it's all yours. But yeah, no, Unicorn, if there's someone that deserves a chip in this league, I'd definitely say it's Unicorn. Just, the buzzword of sustained success, but his team's been top three. As far as I remember, every single season. Maybe top four. One year he may have not gotten a bye or led the division, but his team's just constantly there. So if I had to lose to someone, I'll pick the Canadian. But so dadgummit, he better not do it this year.
So these are his stats. This is not, by the way, I have been a miserable commissioner, and I have not updated the stats for this fantasy season. So this is coming into this season, 31-16. I think this is second most points for all time. Right, barely not barely, I guess 400 points behind K-Migs. Great points per game. Great win percentage, one of the best win percentages in the league. I think it's the best win percentage all time in the league. The most divisional wins, not the least divisional losses, because there's some teams who are kind of newer, like Chase and Code has had incredible division records. But like playoff wins, playoff losses, they made it to the playoffs every time. So 2 buys attained. This is like, it's just it's consistency, and then it's just kind of, there's a hiccup somewhere in the playoffs, and even when that hiccup happens, he still goes on to do well, right? So lost to you here, then lost to Flint there. Made it to won the third place game here, made it to the finals here. So, I mean, Unicorn is great, and so I feel like, to your point, I guess he maybe does deserve one day. We'll see. There's this little piece of me that just wants to beat him first, even though I'm like 7 years away from fielding a competitive team.
Like, let me go out in a blaze of glory here.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll even sell you Gibbs on the cheap. Who knows?
Sweet. We'll talk when the recording ends. Anything that really concerns you on your end? Devontae Adams, we've already kind of mentioned once or twice. There's a concern that he might not be there, but if I think I asked this question in the last couple ones, and I just remembered now. But so fill in the blanks or answer the question for me. The inaugurals will win the grand pick bracket because of blank.
Because of Morgan trading me Trevor Lawrence. He finally made his mark on the playoffs. So
I knew we weren't going to make it a full 15-minute without talking about Morgan at some point in time. So then let's flip that. The Kangsu Pandas will win the grand pick bracket because of blank.
I'm blanking on his team, but Kittle being a wash against McBride if Kittle were to play. And that's kind of my biggest positional advantage. I think his quarterbacks are overall higher scoring, but I've got T-Law to fall back on. Who else is on his team?
Yeah, so his starting lineup last week was Darnold, Jacobs, Tracy, Michael Wilson, JSN, Olave, Fannin, Metcalf, Kittle, and Dak. So his starting quarterback is going to be Darnold and Prescott. There's no really other option there. Kamara is still out. Is he done for the year? No, he's just non-existing. Alec Pierce could come in. Kincaid could come in. Treylon Burks, who's somehow kind of existing, still could come in. But if Jacobs gets healthy, he's the type of player that can take over games. And the Packers are in very scared mode right now. Michael Wilson has done well. He had a bad week with 13.2 points. It's a pretty good bad week for someone that didn't really exist almost 3 months ago. JSN Olave putting up 40 points last week was huge. This could go really a couple different ways, but
yeah, I think if Michael Wilson has a huge game and McBride's not doing much, at least I've got Brissett to cushion those Wilson points. That Seahawks stack is probably where he can get a big leg up on me. If Darnold and JSN have 2 50-yard touchdowns in the first half, certainly flips things. But, I think stacks win games. So my Cards and my Jags, I just need them to come to the plate. Those 5, they can each put up 15 to 20. I feel pretty good.
Yeah. Seahawks playing Carolina this week, which should be apparently a very interesting game. Carolina's defense is one of the better pass defenses too, but how much can you stop Jackson Smith and Jigba, I guess, is a real question. Maybe they can learn something from the Rams game, just because at first, the first half they shut him out completely, which was, great for prospects in another league, but, eventually JSN did JSN things, so who knows. So that'll do it. We're talking to Unicorn Friday. We'll put this video out pretty quickly, so we'll talk to him Friday to kind of get his side of the story and see what happens on Thursday night. Any final thoughts that you have that you want to talk about or go over real quick before we end this thing?
Just a moment of appreciation for the team. Like I said, this is our last dance, and a special shout out because he's making a case to be in the starting lineup this week. But I don't think I quite feel comfortable. But shout out Ramondre Stevenson, the longest tenured member. This is going to be his last game. Definitely getting a ceremony at halftime, maybe even pregame. Might sing the national anthem or something. But just shout out to him, and he's been the steady locker room presence all 4 years. Yeah. So let's hope he can bring a third and be the winningest player in league history.
I should go back and make a thing about that. Honestly, like how many people have been on the championship team and then put that forever. I don't know. It's just more spreadsheet work for me, but that sounds fun.
Kind of like a Stanley Cup. They get their name on
the name etched on the cup. Yeah. Here are the OG rosters, by the way. So these are the people that have been on the team since the the inception of the draft. So only 5 teams left with an original player, and so Allen with Herbert, Kenneth Walker, and DJ Moore, Brown out with Wilson and Njoku, the Pandas with Jacobs and Metcalf, he with Stevenson and Code with Hurts.
Technically, Lawrence is on there too, if I'm not mistaken. But he left.
That's because you traded him away
point.
and then got him back. Yeah, that's what it is. So once they're gone, they're gone. And I've been tracking this since the beginning. I do have similar feelings about Ramondre and whether or not I should play him. He's somebody I'm thinking about like sneakily grabbing in the Guillotine League and having on the bench, just because they already.
If Henderson's
like him.
out, he's got the case to, at least on my team, to be played over Goddard and arguably Jefferson, but I'm not gonna get too cute with it.
Yeah, no, that's so tough. It's like I said in the league chat the other day. Like, I would start Goddard and Jefferson when you kind of put your people up there, but I also said that I have no shares of Jefferson and I have not dealt with the trauma, so I don't know. Well, that will do it for us. Good luck in the games this week. Merry Christmas to those of you watching. Happy Hanukkah as well. I think happened already or started already for UK Migsy. And then to those of you that don't celebrate anything, I hope you guys enjoy, hopefully, time off work and football and all the things. So we'll talk to someone on the other side of this. Off-season stuff coming up very quickly after my favorite time of the year, because I have nothing else to do this time of year. So we'll talk to you guys then.